know why I use a knife? Guns are too quick. You can't savor all the...
Hi, welcome to Video Notes. Knives. Knives are one of my top 3 favorite cinematic weapons. Due to the short nature of knives, when characters fight with knives, they need to get up close and personal. If you know it's gonna get bloody. That's why there's nothing more exciting than when I see a new knife fight in a movie. Here are my personal favorite knife-based fight scenes in movies. Once again, these are just my personal favorite knife fights in movies. These aren't in any order, and hopefully it helps you find some great new movies to watch. Bonus points. If you watched every film on this list, you are the king. I bow down to you, mad respect, but hopefully with this list, it'll introduce you to some new movies. Alright, firstly, rules. The one and only rule is, I'm only counting fights where knives are the focal point of the fight scene. So if it's a fist fight and the character only uses a knife for a second, that doesn't count. Iron Monkey is one of my favorite kung fu movies of all time. The barn fight is easily probably one of the greatest Hong Kong traditional kung fu fight scenes ever made. Easily top 3. And though the monks are using knives in this fight scene, I don't really count it as a knife fight because this fight scene doesn't really spotlight the knives. It spotlights Donnie Yen, his traditional Tiger Crane style Honga, and his taekwondo kicks. Because though the monks do use knives, the knives are in the hands of fodder enemies. And they don't really do any damage, and they don't really come across as dangerous. So that is why fights like these also don't really count as knife fights.
一个手无寸铁的造纸工人，咋个打死一个习武多年的严冬生？
The same reason for Wuxia, aka Dragon. Kara Hui is my favorite kung fu actress of all time. This is my top 3 list of favorite kung fu actresses. It is Kara Hui, and Kara Hui. Just watch her and Mad Monkey Kung Fu.
Mad Monkey Kung Fu.
Alright, back to Wuxia. But as much as I love Kara Hui, this fight is completely one-sided, and her knives barely does a thing. They may as well be floppy hot dog wieners. So I don't count stuff like this as a knife fight as well. You can't just use a knife. You need to actually do stuff with a knife to count as a knife fight. You need to get results. Knives must do what knives do. As for horror movies like Halloween or Scream, you can't really consider those fight scenes. I love Halloween Kills. I love the Halloween films, and I watch the Scream movies religiously. Knives are prominently used for a lot of the Shapes kills. However, I don't really consider these fights quote-unquote fights, or knife fights for that matter. As for other slashers like Scream, Friday the 13th, Happy Death Day, Child's Play, etc., for the most part with slashers, the fighting is one-sided. The killer is the one doing the stabbing, and the victims don't really fight back. They just run around and scream and let themselves get killed. So there's no actual fighting. So because the victims don't really fight back, and it's just one-sided stabbings on the killer's part, so that's why I can't consider these fight scenes either. And also, once again, fight scenes where knives are only used for a second also does not count. So the fight scene in Spectre, for example, that does not count as a knife fight either. Now, with that out of the way, here are my picks for the best knife fights in cinema, in no particular order. Speaking of slashers, this is a low-budget action slasher horror movie. However, this movie has actual real fights. The movie's about a group of bumbling idiots making a low-budget horror film. Their film set gets attacked by bad guys, and it's up to their stuntman, the one and only competent person in their group, to save the day. Despite the movie's low budget, the fight scenes are very fast and well edited. The action is very clear, and it's very easy to track the fighter's moves. Nothing ruins a great fight scene more than shaky cam, quick cuts, and zooming in and out too closely. Take Colombiana for example, or Snake Eyes, or Expendables. The fights in Expendables is the trifecta. It does everything a bad fight scene does. Shaky cam, check. Quick cuts, check. Camera zoomed in way too close, check. You can't tell who's hitting who or what moves they're using. The fights in this franchise are very, very bad. You could say the fights in this movie are very expandable. Sorry about that, but the movie should be more sorry. I hope the knives used in this movie are in a better place. Luckily, unlike the Expendables, we get none of that in Night Shooters.
I don't need your fucking help to go and take care of Kung Fu cunt, but I need you to guard the fucking doors.
The movie is also very self-aware, which adds to its charm.
There's fucking 7 of them! That's like 2 each! The fuck is wrong with you?
Well, Kung Fu cunt's technically like 3 of them.
Well, I've just sent 3 to deal with him, haven't I?
Next is the 2019 Japanese film Hydra. It's hard to use words to describe the style of action in this movie. All I can say is it is fast. The fights have like this hard kinetic energy, and the characters are moving at lightning speeds. And the more you look into the fight choreography, the more complex it becomes. The only reason why this fight isn't in my top 3 is because the knife fighting is a bit too short. Hydra is easily one of my favorite martial arts movies. The action director Tsunomura Kensuke would go on to do the action for Baby Assassins, another favorite film series of mine.
Oh my God! Someone's calling the police!
Hey, you stop that! Now you stop that! You stop that right now!
Yeah, so basically Steven Seagal is a crazy person, and let me explain how. He's a guitar collecting, carrot eating, direct-to-video making, police deputying, stunt actor fighting,
2 hours later.
Will Sasso hating, human trafficking, Aikido mastering, Expendables avoiding, weirdly running, Asian and Native American pretending, machete dying, pseudo-spiritual slinging, energy drink making son of a bitch.
Thank you. Shoutouts to Cinemassacre for their incredible Steven Seagal rant. Link in the description. Please do watch. Steven Seagal, he is an absolutely poop of a person, and he runs funny. He is a monster and an absolutely terrible human being. But as terrible as a person as Steven Seagal is, and as much as I hate saying this, I kind of love his action movies. I try my best to separate artists from the art. And though Steven Seagal is an absolutely detestable piece of shit human being, I still love his action movies. I still love the way he does action. I love the way he incorporates Aikido into his urban street fights. Because Aikido is a internal martial arts, he fights using a distinctly counter-based fighting style. He always waits for the opponent to counter to him. He waits for them to throw the first punch, and then he'll react and counter accordingly. His grappling and counter-based fighting style really makes him stand out from Van Damme and Chuck Norris, because Van Damme and Chuck Norris are both kickers and strikers, which really helps make Steven Seagal's fights stand out at the time. And though his knife fight with Tommy Lee Jones in Under Siege is kinda cheesy, it's one of the first blisteringly fast knife fights in cinema, and a really great knife fight for early 90s Hollywood standards. The film was released in 1992. Hollywood didn't really know how to do knife fights back then. This is what 90s knife fights usually look like. Not very good. Why are these knives locked? Knives never lock like that in a fight. Come on, what is this? Princess Brides? They're knives, they're not rapiers. And once again, in case you are wondering, rapiers don't lock like that too. And unlike what you see in movies, you can't use knives to parry other knives. The blades are too short and they're moving way too fast. They're not rapiers. Once again, what is this? Princess Bride? I watched Under Siege as a kid, and it's always stood out to me as a really cool knife fight, especially for its time. Steven Seagal, on the other hand, he's not very cool. He sucks. He's poop. Mission Possible is a 2021 Korean action spy comedy spoof movie. It's a fun comedy, but unlike most action comedies that cheaps out on the action, the action in this movie is fantastic, surprisingly so. I'd go as far as to say that the action in this action comedy is better than the action in most action movies. Period. Be them Hollywood or international or otherwise. The leads have great chemistry and their blade work is fantastic. Chef's kiss. It's fast and the fights are full of feints and misdirections and stance changes and grappling and parries. All the things you want in a good knife fight.
He has the skills
Stop right there!
of a dangerous man.
The Bourne movies led to the wide use of shaky cam and fast cutting. Pretty much the worst thing to have into action scenes. With shaky cam and quick cutting, it usually looks terrible when other movies use it. But with the Bourne movies, it just works. Paul Greengrass just knew the special formula for making a really great shaky cam fight scene. But outside of Paul Greengrass and the Bourne movies, other fights, just don't, please stop.
Hong Kong!
Hong Kong cinema. Here's where we get to the really good stuff. Knife fights in Hong Kong cinema really stand out because they combine both weapon fighting and traditional martial arts. Bad Blood, aka King of Triads, has Andy On versus the Human Whirlwind, Xiong Xing Xing. Sorry if I got your name wrong. Here it is. I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced, my bad. And Ken Lo. Xiong Xing Xing, once again, Xiong Xing Xing, I'm just gonna call him the Human Whirlwind, is best known for playing Clubfoot in Once Upon a Time in China 3. You know what, I'm just gonna call him Clubfoot. Clubfoot is one of the all-time greatest kickers in Kung Fu cinema. Ken Lo is the big boss in Drunken Master, and is another one of the greatest kickers of all time. They are both in this movie, and they still got it. The ring fight has a lot of fantastic, beautiful wushu circular movements. He uses the double knives as if they were double jian. And just look at these fantastic kicks. SPL. SPL2, Time and Consequence, has one of my personal favorite weapon pairings, knives and tonfas. For me personally, there's nothing cooler than throwing knives. Watching people throw knives just feels satisfying. Link in the description. Just watch this guy's videos. I found him while doing research for this video, and just watching him throw knives, it brings peace to my soul.
Bullseye. Woo! Nice.
This video is about knife fights, but knives are actually my number 2 favorite weapon. My number 1 has to be tonfas. So this fight scene with a hero using a police tonfa versus a knife thrower, plus he doesn't have any eyebrows. It's a match made in heaven for me. This is easily a top 10 favorite knife fight for me, and it almost made my top 5. Almost. And just a quick tip, buddy. If you're a secret assassin and you're trying to blend in with the crowd and not look like a menace, perhaps don't have your eyebrows shaved, or at least use a magic marker. Just saying, bro. As soon as he saw those shaved eyebrows, he reached for his tonfa. Anyone would. And ow. Just saying, this guy's arms must be burning. Xu Haofeng is one of the most unique kung fu filmmakers. He goes for a more grounded realism with his fights. The Final Master is a knife fighting masterclass dedicated to Wing Chun knife fighting. The final 10 minutes is an epic corridor fight against waves and waves of opponents. They just keep coming one after another, and it is fantastic. And each one of them has a unique weapon. The movie itself doesn't really make much sense story-wise. I've seen it at least 3 times, and it's left me confused each time. But I watched this movie for the Wing Chun and the knife fight, and it is fantastic. It's one of those movies where it doesn't really matter what the story is, because the action is really good, and there's plenty of it. Dune, Shah Khalut, the Misa Al Gaib, the Quasar. The new Dune movies, part 1 and 2, are some of my new favorite movies of all time. I am obsessed with them. I saw Dune 2 3 times in theaters. My brother and I even got together to watch the cheesy David Lynch 1984 Dune so that we can compare them. Denis Villeneuve's, sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Denis Villeneuve's Dune is an absolute cinematic achievement. It's a visual and auditory feast. Dune Part 2 and Wicked were my 2 favorite movies of last year. Both I saw 3 times, and both I'm obsessed with the soundtrack. Just too bad there wasn't any knife fights in Wicked, or else I'd be talking about that all day. On the day of writing this, I had just finished listening to the Dune audiobook, narrated by George Gidel. It was my first time reading Frank Hubert, and as I started the book, I could not put it down. And George Gidel is a fantastic narrator. Too bad he only narrated the first book. If you're interested in the audiobook, there's both a George Gidel version and there's a full cast version with Simon Vance. And there's also a Scott Brick version. I do not recommend the Simon Vance version. I don't think him as a narrator fits Dune, but the George Gidel version and the Scott Brick version are fantastic. I just do not recommend the Simon Vance version. And Audible, please stop doing full cast audiobooks. They're cringe. Just get 1 or 2 really good narrators, and that's all you need. Full cast audiobooks makes it sound like you're listening to a 1940s radio drama. Just stop. Anyway, needless to say, I am in very hardcore Dune mode right now. The knife fighting in Dune is great. Not fantastic though. It's a step up from this, but it's definitely not this, The knife fighting in Dune is a bit too slow, cuts a bit too much, and the action isn't always in frame. The fight choreographer Corey Yun uses Filipino Kali Eskrima to incorporate real-world fighting techniques and strategies to the fights in Dune, and to modify it to account for the energy shields. He even plays the gladiator in part 2. That's him. When I saw him, I was like, hey, it's the oyster guy from Shanghai Noon. He was also the Sifu in Paper Tigers. His knife work is good, but none of his fight choreography has been groundbreaking. If they wanted really good knife fights, they could have gone with some way better fight choreographers. Not harping on Roger Yoon, he was great. It's unfortunate, but with Dune, it feels like if they just put a little bit more effort with the action direction and the choreography, and perhaps with a better fight choreographer. Like perhaps if they gotten some of the people from Hong Kong or Japan, or the team behind the raid, Iko Weiss and Yayan Runian. Once again, sorry for butchering the name. That's gonna be a running trend. If they gotten some of them, the fights in Dune could have easily become some of the greatest world-class fight scenes ever filmed. Oh man, okay. I'm just imagining if the raids Yaya Runian and Iko Weiss did the fight choreography, and Iko Weiss played Jameis, and Yaya Runian played Super Hawat. And imagine if they got Sisep Aref Rahman. Once again, sorry, but imagine if they got him, Sisep Aref Rahman. Imagine if they got him to play the gladiator Fade Rafa fights. That would have officially made Dune the greatest movie ever made. Just imagine Dune's story plus the raid level fight choreography. There's also the Dune nerd part of me that wished they'd brought back Sir Patrick Stewart, who was the best part of the cheesy 1984 movie. Maybe he could dub the voice for Super Hawat, or he could play Count Fenrin or Liet Kynes. Okay, that's enough Dune talk, I promise. I could easily talk about Dune for the next hour and a half, but I won't. I'll stop myself now. Remember Hydra from earlier? We're going back to Japan. Because action director Tsunomura Kensuke's next big project was 2021's Baby Assassins. The films are actually more relaxing slice-of-life comedies with occasional bursts of some of the best action you've ever seen. It's really hard to describe the first Baby Assassins movie. It's very relaxed, but there's some really tense crime scenes that feels very Pulp Fiction-y. Like the cafe scene literally feels like a Japanese Pulp Fiction. It's really hard to put into words. Baby Assassins is just one of those films that just has to be seen. After I saw the first Hydra movie, it just left me craving for more of that fast-paced, close quarters action. And when I finally watched Baby Assassins, I really couldn't put into words what the action was like, but I just knew from watching it that this was my new favorite thing. Like this is my new favorite kind of action. The characters in this fight scene, they move so fast. They throw like 5 or 6 hits per second, and they're constantly switching between striking and grappling. There's really nothing else like it in terms of action. Watching this movie just made me want more of this kind of action. I was thirsty. I was like a Fremen on Arrakis with a still suit in need of water. Okay, no more Dune talk, I swear. The action in these movies feel like real fighters fighting for dear life. They're fighting and grappling as fast as their bodies will move while also trying to take each other out. I especially love the lead actor / stunt woman Izori Sawaza's fighting style. She takes advantage of her short stature and always keeps low to the ground during her fights. It looks like her own unique blend of monkey style, especially with all the rolling and ground fighting she does. And it made it even better in the third movie when you got a guy who did real Lau Kar Lung style Mad Monkey Kung Fu. This movie is also a must-see for anime weebs. Takeshi Akari starred in the lead role of Kamado Nezuko in the Kimetsu no Yaiba stage play. I already knew I had to see this movie when I found out Tsunomura Kensuke was doing another action movie. But when I found out it starred Nezuko, and thank God Kami-sama, the movie did not disappoint. The newest film in the series, Baby Assassins 3, Baby's Day Off, finally got its worldwide release this year. And with it, I got a new favorite knife fight to add to the list. It also looked like they used some Italian, Sicilian knife fighting. That's my guess anyway. I'm not an expert on Italian knife fighting, but this has that look. And I just want to give Sicilian knife fighting a shout out because it looks cool as fuck. Beep. And Italy definitely should make a martial arts movie spotlighting this style. Italian knife fighting instructor retired, somebody kidnaps his family, he takes out his knife and goes and hunts down the bad guys one by one. Boom. Instant must-see. Tak Sakaguchi, or is it Takaguchi Suck? I can't tell which is his family name and which one is his first name because I'm trying to say family name first. Anyway, Sakaguchi Tak is the other big name in Japanese action. He uses a unique modern Japanese tactical martial art called zero range combat, also called wave, which emphasizes looseness and hyper close quarters combat. You can't tell, but I'm totally doing the wave motion with my arms right now, like you see on screen. Your arms are kept loose and limber and flowing, and it uses a unique power generation with the shoulder torque. Sakaguchi Tak highlights the style in his 2016 knife fighting movie Reborn, where he plays a modern tactical ninja. In 2023, he came out with 1%er, aka 1% Warrior, which got its international wide release in 2024, and it was one of my personal favorite movies of last year, up there with Life After Fighting and Kowloon, Walden, Wicked, and Dune. In 1%er, Tak plays a stuntman working on an action movie, but the set gets attacked by bad guys. So same plot as Night Shooters, but with an even lower budget. Tak really showcases the zero-range combat fighting style in this new movie, the flashlight scene being my personal favorite. The way he weaponizes light in a dark room, it was truly brilliant. I watch a lot of martial arts movies. It is my #1 favorite genre. I live for great fight scenes. And with a lifetime of watching martial arts movies, I thought I'd seen them all. But this movie was my first time seeing a flashlight used this way. Because in a lot of other movies, a flashlight would be used as a blunt instrument, but not in this movie. He fights with the light itself. You could say this movie is in the top 1%er when it comes to creative fight scenes. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry. With that being said, I give special points to fight scenes where they do stuff I've never seen before. And both Reborn and 1%er get that special distinction. They are both very top 3 knife fight worthy movies, and they just narrowly miss out on making it to the top 5 list. There's also a really cool reason why this movie is called 1%er, but I won't spoil that. You'll just have to watch it yourself. With that, this video is getting pretty long, so in the interest of time, we will wrap it up for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 coming up, where we will talk about a few more knife movies and then the top 5. Thank you very much for watching video notes. If you want to watch any of the movies we've talked about, I know some of them are pretty hard to find, but mostly all of them are available to watch, rent or buy on YouTube or Amazon. And some of them are even free to watch on Tubi, and some of them are available on the martial arts subscription service Haya. I know that Hydra and Baby Assassins, those movies are on Haya, and depending on where you are, they're also available on Tubi as well. Thank you so much for watching video notes, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2 where we will conclude this list on best knife fights in cinema.
Thank you, Dr. Hibbert.
Don't thank me. Thank the knife.
Steven Seagal sucks.